Welcome to Barefoot in America. Today we're filming from Sedona, Arizona, and just taking the time for a simple hip opener practice. Some of the yogis have asked for hip openers, something to just stretch and open up the hips, the pelvis, and some of the parts of our body that get tight with sitting and with lifestyle. So just going to invite you to start sitting in Sukhasana, easy cross-legged posture. Find your best seated posture and put a blanket or a block under your hip to give yourself a little rise. And take a moment to just sit tall and beautifully in your best posture. Feel your sits bones, your pelvis, your legs rooting to the earth. And imagine roots coming out of your pelvis, your sacrum, connecting you deeply into the earth. The roots finding their way through the various layers of earth, plugging you in, if you will. And just as the roots of a tree draw nourishment from the earth through their roots, allow yourself to be nourished by this groundedness that you're experiencing. Take a deep breath, feeling that sense of being rooted. And while you're rooted, feel yourself centered. Come to that place inside of you where you call home and let your light shine. Feel that place deep inside of you, the place where your light shines from. And while you're grounded and centered, feel the crown of your head lifting skyward, connecting you to the divine, that infinite space all around us, from the sky to the cosmos to the galaxies. Infinite possibilities for all of us. And while you're grounded, centered, and spacious, bring your hands to heart center in Anjali Mudra. Palm presses to the palms, elbows flare out just a bit, a gentle bow of the head, and set an intention for your yoga practice today. And seal it with a couple deep breaths. Taking the time, sitting nice and tall, open your eyes, inhale, float the arms up and overhead, and simply hinge forward from your hips, bringing your hands to the mat, to the floor in front of you, or grabbing a couple yoga blocks to place your hands on. Continue to lengthen your spine, hinging from your hips, melting towards the earth, and only going as far as you can while you maintain length in your spine. If you catch your navel getting lost and your back rounding into the C shape, pause there, draw your heart forward, your navel forward, melting into the stretch. Go down as deeply as it's comfortable for you, never forcing anything, just finding that edge, buttocks rooted to the earth, spaciousness lengthening out of the spine, melting into the fold. Just another deep breath here. Inhale, walk your hands back up and switch the fold of your legs, putting the other leg in front. And just know that we would have just naturally chose the easier side first. Inhale, float the arms up. Hinge from your hips, fold forward using those blocks if you need that support. For some, this is as far as you need to go. Continue to lengthen the spine, melting into the fold, finding your edge. And as you find your edge, root the seat, lengthen your spine, fold from the hip hinge, melting into it. The stretch typically felt here in the buttock, the hip of the leg that's bent in the front. And one more deep breath. Inhale yourself back up. Take a moment to send both legs straight out in front of you. Hands by your hips, sitting tall in Dandasana. Press your hands into the earth, lengthen your spine, press your heels away. Really feel your sits bones rooted to the earth, hands pressing down, and imagine turning the hands out just to get a contraction of your upper back. Lengthening the crown of the head to the ceiling, feeling that stretch in your hamstrings for most of us. Keep pressing the feet of the way and pull your toes towards your nose, creating space between your toes, and connect the big toe knuckles. Zip up the inner thighs. Feel the energy of the legs together like one. Pressing legs one way, lifting the crown of the head the other way in perpendicular lines. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale the hands to your thighs or your shins. Lift the heart, flat back, leaning forward. Pause here. Just take another deep breath, really feeling that stretch across your hips and hamstrings. And then once you've maximized how far you can hinge from your hips, let yourself bow into a forward fold, maybe grabbing your ankles or your feet. Just melting into the fold, letting the head bow, and now you're creating a bit of a C shape with your spine. But every time you inhale, think of lengthening your spine. Exhale, melting into the fold. Inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, melt into the fold. One more breath. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And melt into the fold. Inhale your arms back up and overhead. Exhale the fingertips behind you. Just take a moment to lift your heart, extend your back. Bend your right knee, give it a hug. Wrap your arms around it, sitting nice and tall. And if this is pretty easy, you can take it a step further. But if this is enough, stay right here. If you want the extra, cross the right leg over the left. Sitting nice and tall here, float the left arm to the sky, maximizing the length in your spine. And then grabbing your right knee with the left arm, give it a hug, twisting to your right. Whether your right foot is on the inside or the outside of the left leg, just meet yourself where you are. Lengthening the spine, twisting from the navel, spiraling up the spine, gazing out over your right shoulder. Breath full and deep. Inhale back to center. Take the right foot to the inside of the left leg. Let the knee fall open. If it's super tight and you need support, put a block under the knee. But if it feels okay, just let it rest. Float the arms up. Exhale, hinge from your hips, fold towards your left leg. Again, maximizing the length of the spine, maximizing the hinge from the hips, and then melting into the forward fold. Stay for a couple deep breaths. Inhale, arms back up and overhead. Exhale the fingertips behind you. Taking the time to lift your heart, send the right leg out. Bring your left knee in, give it a hug. And remember, you have two legs, but they haven't had the same experience as always. So decide if you want to have the left foot on the inside of the right thigh or cross it to the outside. Get settled into your best position. Float the right arm up, lengthening your spine. Exhale, give the left knee a hug, twisting to your left. Left fingertips on the ground behind you, helping you to lengthen your spine. And then feel the twist from the navel, spiraling up the spine, gazing out over your left shoulder. Breath full and deep. And the last deep breath here. With awareness, just gently unspiral, recoil back to midline. Left foot now on the inside of the right thigh, knee falling out, and if that block would serve you well to support your knee, take the time to put it there. And remember, blocks have various heights. Really meet yourself where you need support if that's what you need. And if you don't need it, great. Float the arms up, lengthen your spine, and from a lengthened spine, hinge from your hip, folding forward towards the right leg, grabbing hold of the ankle, the foot, the toes, whatever you can reach today. Inhale, lengthening your spine. Exhale, melting into the fold. Give yourself just a few deep breaths here, really sensing the stretch in your body. Last deep breath, and then inhale, float the arms up and overhead. Exhale, the fingertips behind you, lift your heart, extend the left leg out in front of you. Take the legs wide like a V. We're all going to have a different V shape, but just take it as far as you comfortably go. Adjust your sits bones as needed. Sometimes we want to get the flesh out of our way. And then really focus on knees and toes pointing skyward. Fingertips could be behind you if you're tight. And if you're really tight, this is plenty. Every time we lengthen the spine, we're really asking for the stretch to come from the hip. And if we allow the spine to collapse, then we're giving slack to the hip. So for hip openers, always think about lengthening the spine for the neutral curves. And if that's enough, stay there. If you want more, put your fingertips in front of you. Lift your heart. Exhale, hinging forward, walking your hands forward as you continue to focus on the length in your spine. You can rest the hands out in front of you. Some of my yogi friends go down flat here. This is about my limit. And if your peace fingers can reach your big toes, you can hook them on your big toes, bend your elbows, and then you have a little bit of an anchor to kind of draw your heart and navel forward as you melt into the fold. Engage the legs, pressing the heels away, toes and kneecaps towards the sky. Folding into this wide-legged forward fold. Just a couple more deep breaths. Inhale the arms up and overhead. Turn your navel to your right leg. Hinge forward to your right leg. Maybe you can crisscross your hands at the shin or the foot or the ankle. And just keep turning your navel towards the right leg, shoulders squaring off to the right foot. And notice if your left pelvis stayed down on the ground, and if it lifted, just kind of reroute the left hips again. One more deep breath here. And then inhale, arms up and overhead. Recenter yourself and turn your navel to your left leg. Hinge forward from your left hip, folding towards your left leg, crisscrossing your wrist, holding the shin or the ankle or the foot. And again, lengthen your spine, melting towards the left leg. And if you notice the right hip came up, just reroute it. The body tugs on us in curious ways. Inhale, float the arms back up. Exhale your hands behind you and bring the soles of your feet together. Connecting the soles of the feet, Baddha Konasana. Grab your ankles, and if you'd like to give yourself a little bit of a foot massage, just massage the arch of your foot. Take a moment to sit tall, and for some of you, the hips are really tight, so if you need blocks supporting your knees, take the time to put them there. And then inhale, lengthen your spine. Exhale, hinging forward from your hips, bowing towards your feet. Maybe the forearms could rest on the shins to help create some weight on the knees to open them up. Never forcing anything, but just finding your edge. Continue to lengthen the spine, bending as much from your hips as you can. When you've maximized your hip bend, if you want a little bit more, let the back round into the C shape for a bit, bowing the head towards the feet. Inhale yourself back upright, float the arms up and overhead. Exhale the hands behind you. And now with the right leg out to the side, flip the left leg in making this 90-90 shape with both legs. And if you need to support one of your knees, take the time to do that. Inhale, float the left arm up to the sky, twist to your right, left hand can find the ground, and just create this little bit of a twisting motion. If you want more, keep the left arm up to the sky, really reaching, creating length in your left side body. Exhale, come back to center. And flip the legs. Take both legs down to your left side, creating this 90-90 shape, knee, and hip. Float the right arm up. Take it behind you, twisting to your left. Do your best to keep your buttocks on the ground, and if you need the support of the block, take the time to add it. Lifting your heart, and if you want the more, reach the right arm up, really opening up your right side body. Exhale, find your way back to center. Take the time now to just lie down on your back, and we're going to do a Piriformis Stretch. And anytime you're in a yoga practice where they offer pigeon posture, just know that reverse pigeon is available to you. So lying on your back, knees bent, feet flat. Cross your right ankle to your left thigh. I teach it two ways. For the simplest version, hands on the right knee, it pulls at an angle up and over towards the left shoulder. Flexing the right foot, lining the kneecap up with the second, third toe will help create a deeper stretch in your right buttock. If that's enough for you, stay right there. If you want a little bit more, relax the right knee. Right hand goes between the legs, the keyhole, pulling left knee to your chest. Do your best to keep your shoulders and tailbone rooted to the earth, and that the bend is coming from the hips. And by bending the ball and socket joint of your hips, you're getting a deeper stretch in the piriformis. Again here, flexing the right ankle. Left foot can do whatever it wants to do. Left leg is relatively relaxed. The stretch is deep in the right hip and buttock. Breathe into it. And if you're in the first way I taught, you're just holding it for a couple minutes today, either position. Giving time for things to open up and change. And then to come out of it, set your left foot down, simply uncross the right leg. And now take the left ankle to the right thigh. I love for you to try it both ways. The easier way first is great. Hands on the left knee. Left knee pulls up and over towards the right shoulder. Pelvis stays on the mat so that you're getting the stretch from the ball and socket joint of the hip. The left foot flexes, second, third toe lining up with the kneecap. Breathe into it, and if you want the more advanced variation, relax the left leg. Grab the right thigh, left hand between the legs through the keyhole, pulling knee to chest. For many of us, if the dural tube is tight, we need to just tuck the chin ever so slightly because the head tends to go into some hyperextension. So if that's you, just tuck the chin. Flex your left ankle if you haven't already, lining the second, third toe up with the knee. And simply knowing that your piriformis attaches from the outer hip joint to your sacrum. And so you might feel that band of tension through your buttock from your hip to your tailbone. Just another breath or two here, holding the stretch, giving yourself the time for things to melt and change. Set your right foot down, uncross the left leg. Give both knees one final hug, knees to chest. And then make your way to Savasana, final resting posture. Straightening one leg and then the other. Turn the palms to the sky. Let yourself just melt into the earth. And stay in Savasana as long as you like. With the 20-minute practice, I focus on the asana postures, the breath, But taking a 5-10 minute savasana can be really, really valuable. So just feel yourself lying here, melting. Feel the space you've created in your body. Let yourself fill that space with some light, some love. Shimmy, wiggle, anything you need to do to settle in a little bit more. Saying to yourself, I let go. I soften. I surrender. I thank you so much for joining me in the yoga practice today for the gentle hip openers. The place of divine light and truth in me honors the place of divine light and truth in you, where we are all one. Namaste.